Hey Raleigh, how you doing? Raleigh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. You're the first one here. I didn't send a reminder out today, so and I know this is the last. I know another week of spring break for some schools, but I'll still go ahead. I'm gonna wait a few more minutes, but I'll just go ahead and just go over some things, and we'll record it, and I'll make it available.
Okay. I was wondering, just before, since this is the last one, I'm slowly getting this business plan together, and I know in the title it's supposed to be a TIN. Is that the
Uh-huh.
is that a team identification number?
Yeah, we'll send that out as we get closer to it's just the number
Okay.
that you'll need. Yeah, as we get closer to final submission, we'll send that out. You guys will just when you submit your document, you'll just use that team ID number uh in the file name, and when you save the file, and that way we'll be able to differentiate between each team.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss the number I was supposed to have because that'll be bad.
Yeah, and we're probably going to, give you guys. Well, I'll wait, but we are expected to give you a little more time, to few days, at a minimum, a few days more, to a week, to get your final submissions in.
Okay, so it's changing from the 28th.
Well, that's what we're going to try to do.
Okay.
It's looking like we're going to be able to do that. Yeah, because the grant, and I'll send a notice out because the grant, if you make it to the finals, we've pushed that back as well to June the 2nd,
Okay.
which is 2 weeks. So that's we figured we give you guys at least a week more. Okay.
Do you know how many teams
Oh, and I see another one of your is now on your team or now.
he is? Yes.
Okay, I see now there.
Finally both made the Zoom call together.
And it's just you two, right?
Yeah, we didn't have any other members, so
That's fine.
I was wondering if it was just us that were able to sign up, but we did have people who would have fill for quote unquote positions. Could we
Mhm.
add them even though they're not going to be in the presentation or anything with us?
Well, let me see. You mean like in terms of
So like in the
people that you're sharing as available staff to
yeah,
to run your business?
we went to Skills USA and we met some people, and there's this guy I met who's going to be the social media marketer for Skills USA California. And I got in contact with him and he said he would love to, if we were to start this business, be the marketing officer. So I figured we could add that as a one of the members as a
Yeah,
chief
you can
marketing.
show him as a resource, but that person cannot be one of your presenters.
Okay.
cannot be your presenters. Only the team members will be actually part of your presentation, the 5-minute presentation that you submit.
And it has to be less than 5 minutes or
Yeah. Yes.
more, less. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty flexible. I mean, I think last year, if you went over 15 seconds or, 10 seconds, something like that, we're okay with that. But, make it as close to 5 as possible, if not less.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Got a couple in here. Hey, Umbrielle, how you doing? You guys back from spring break? Yeah, Umbrielle?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm sorry, my connection is messing up bad today.
It's okay. Okay, so moving forward, like I said, I tried to be in the first couple of workshops. We had a guest speaker, a couple guest speakers so far. We'll hopefully have one more. But definitely I'll be stopping and asking questions. And what really makes these workshops work is when they're interactive. And so feel free to ask questions, and I'm going to also ask you guys from time to time as I go over. So what I'll do today is we're getting close to the time where we'd like to start hearing some of you guys start giving us a quick presentation of your draft PowerPoints. I think we're still another workshop or so away from that. But at any rate, we definitely would like to keep this thing as interactive as possible. So today, I think what I'm going to do, I think we were scheduled to go over. I think on the schedule it said that we're actually going to have some draft PowerPoints today. But there's a couple of areas that I wanted to go over, which we haven't had a chance to go over, and that is the financials. And I touched on that in the last workshop. We do have a template that we offer you guys to use to calculate your base year in revenue, which I'll go over in a second. Once you calculate that, we'll be evaluating that base year calculation. That's where we'll really be able to look at the heart of your financials to see if you have a good understanding of cash flow and a good understanding of what are typical expenses for a startup or a small business, what's typical in terms of let's see here, someone else is coming in. Typical in terms of the types of expenses. We're going to look at that. We'll also look at, the ratio of your admin costs, your marketing costs. You definitely want to not give us a base year revenue where you're showing an unbalanced ratio of administrative costs, like paying too much in salaries or having excessive number of administrative costs or administrative personnel. Those are the types of things that really could affect your profitability, and you want to keep that slim. Looks like we've lost Ambrielle, but she had a bad connection, but I'll just go ahead and share my screen and see if I can pull up. Let's see. Okay. Board. Okay. Okay, so you guys can see that, the homepage?
Yes, sir. I can see it.
Okay. So just going to show you again how to get to where we're putting the resources for you. So you go to the ATM tab and then click on Business Plan Resource Center. There's a, you go down here, here's what we're posting. Some of these workshops even from last year are excellent as well. I mean, they're basically the same models, like here, workshop 2 from last year and workshop 2 from this year. Same content, um, just with a different group of students. And it varies a bit, so it's good to go back and look at those. But there's a model on here that says revenue, expenses, profit template. So click on that. I think I'm going to have to get to that. Let's see. Guys, are you guys still seeing the website, or are you seeing an Excel spreadsheet?
We're seeing the website right now.
Website.
Okay. All right. So
I can
what
see the spreadsheet now.
you can see that right there, Excel spreadsheet.
Yes, sir.
So this is really a cheat sheet for you guys. It is essentially a template to calculate your base revenue. If you look here, let me pull this up here. In the far left column, it will show revenue streams. So, if you have a product, if you have a product or services um, company, you can enter here what are your projected monthly income by product or service. And let's see if we were to put, just say if you had $10,000 in there for January, of course, you could just, I'm just simplifying it for you. So if you carried that over, it would automatically calculate that $120,000 a year for product or services one. And if you had another stream of income here, say that one was bringing in $7,500 a month. So this would automatically calculate what your total revenue of product or services would be 210,000. Let's see here for the year here in terms of products and services, and this kind of simplifies it. But in your narrative, you can tell us what your products are, um, you know, potentially, how you arrive at the unit cost of your products, and then you'll talk a little bit more about the price that you arrive and how that's competitive. Once you look at who your competition is, but this sheet will essentially give you a framework to build your financial model. And so another key thing in calculating expenses in terms of salary is being able to calculate, what you pay somebody in per hour, and then what are you going to offer them in terms of benefits, and easily to pay someone medical benefits, dental, have some money escrow, for their 401k. That could be another 30, 40% uh, on top of what you're going to pay them in the annual salary. You guys could do you could do your research and find out in terms of benefits, what's a competitive number, whether it's 30%, 32%, whether it's 40% of your uh, base labor, that you could calculate what your total, how you're going. So for example, in this case, I think there's actually a formula in here, but it's not specific to any particular industry. So if you paid somebody for labor $120,000 a year. So basically what you're going to do, you have to account for in your budget. So that'll be what, $10,000 again a month. In this case, it already calculated $1,500 on top of that $10,000 a month is what you're going to be paying in order to be able to have the money to pay for their medical, their dental, and then, if you have some money as well. Looks like this one is 15%. That's a pretty low number here for benefits. I'm looking at the formula here. So calculate that. So basically, it'll calculate it for you, $120,000 a year. So you're paying that person another $18,000 as in addition to their salary. Now this is just for one person. So if you got, three employees, if you got five employees or whatever, you'd have to, this 10,000, you'd have to estimate, based on the number of employees you have, maybe you come up with an average monthly for all five. But basically, this will simplify it for you, and it automatically calculate what the total cost to your company for salaries and benefits expenses. Now, in terms of administrative expenses, literally it's going to be the same thing. If you have an assistant, you pay that person, 30,000, I don't know, $40,000 a year. Let's just say if you give them, let's say $2,500 a month, then That's $30,000 a year. So this already calculated. Looks like this one is using 15%. 15% of the labor is the rate of the benefits. So other costs, if you look also down here at the administrative expenses, these are pretty standard expenses for a small business. Of course, you're going to have rent. Um, I mean, you can, and even in today's economy, we have a lot of folks with the ability to work from home, and and so you could definitely in your business plan, you could talk about um, how you balance with the number of employees that you're going to have, that are going to actually work in the house. I mean, work from home. Maybe you have some sort of share rolling staff that maybe work 2 days at home and 3 days, and you have them alternate or something like that. There's other ways that you can save money on a number of desks that you might need in an office. But those are some of the things that you can show in your business plan that you've really thought through it. You've looked at ways to minimize your overall expenses in terms of staffing and administrative costs, because you'll find out, especially in your first couple of years, that's your biggest cost is going to be your labor. So you definitely want to be very thoughtful with that. Say if you had a rent, say your rent was, $9,000 a month. Utilities, let's say if utilities, you're gonna say if it's $350 a month. So you guys get the idea, so just throwing some numbers in there. So insurance, you gotta, definitely to run a business, you gotta have liability coverage. A lot of, in most places, if you rent a facility, they're gonna require that you have some sort of insurance in case you do any damage to their property. And it depends on the nature of your business. You're gonna have probably significant equipment costs. If you are a tech business, if you're a tech business, and I think you guys are, it could be quite a bit of cost and expenses, supplies, professional, subscriptions. You're going to have travel costs. You may have a vehicle that you might need to purchase. Travel associated with marketing. Not sure if you guys are, depends on if you're going to have a national business, where that you have customers and clientele nationwide, or if you're going to focus on a local market. Raleigh, I believe you guys are. Tell me a little bit about your marketplace for the product that you guys are, the jack that you guys are working on. Is that something, or either one of you guys, tell me a little bit about your projected market. Is it going to be a local marketplace to where you guys on the West Coast, or do you have an idea of how you would market this product globally or nationwide? Let me hear a little bit about that.
So ideally, our best market is between the aviators and the mechanic shops for A&P servicemen that work on the planes. The most we'll be able to work with starting out will be local to us because we need our product to actually pick up traction. We need people to sort of recognize that our product is viable. It will work for them. As that goes, we can start moving to other airports, presenting our product to larger airports, such as down in larger cities. We're from a small countryside town, so it would be a massive step in the right direction to start going to larger cities to present to airports. But we probably would not be able to have this on a global scale, as you asked. There just isn't really a market outside the US. Aviation isn't as popular in other places like Europe or Asia. So it would likely stay within the continental US, but national would be much more viable for us aside from that.
To add on to that, it's very nice to market because at least thankfully here in San Diego, we have a lot of air shows like at the Miramar Air Show or places like that where we could just set up somewhere and there'll be like thousands of people coming by who are all mainly pilots that we could show off the product to. So they'll all be meeting in one big place most of the time. And that happens several times a year.
Awesome. Well, those are some of the things that, I want you guys to, really think through because in your, the business plan is only 10 pages. And, so you really want to have that text to be, very effective. And, we'd like to hear a little bit about, your marketing strategy in terms of where you'd like to market and you could talk a little bit about why, focusing on and that that's typical, so year one or year 1, 2, and 3 or whatever your marketing strategy is, you want to capitalize on your local marketplace, and then you build some data that you can use to expand to other marketplaces. If you're going to use, some sort of, if you're going to have some sort of customer satisfaction survey or evaluation, where that you can survey your existing clientele and your existing client base, and get feedback from them on your services, and that those are excellent tools for being able to expand your business to other marketplaces. You can go to a new market and say, hey, this is what we did in the western region of the country. This is what we did in San Diego County, and then maybe you go down to Los Angeles County and start marketing in that area, and then you build a blueprint. Once you conquer a market and you get to a point where that you're providing excellence in one marketplace, and you can use that as a springboard, to expand. So that's the kind of narrative we like to see. Once you calculate your base year of profits, you could talk about your scale up. So what I said is we want to see the calculations of your base year, then you can project based on your growth rate. You come up with a growth rate per year, and you use that to calculate the profitabilities for year 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're only requiring 3 years, but show us 5. But be able to say, here's our base year, and we'll be able to look at your base year and calculate and to be able to assess if what you said you're going to make using the variables and the strategies and the ratios that you're using in your base year calculations, then you extrapolate that out as many years as you need to. But we're going to be looking at this base year, but we're also going to be looking at if you tell us you're going to have 100% growth rate, each year. We want to see some compelling information in that narrative that supports that. So basically, we're going to also do a realism evaluation. That is, we're going to look at the numbers to see if what you're projecting is really achievable as you have written. We get a lot of fluff in these competitions. Folks come in and they say from year one, that they're making $5 million in profitability the first year, and actually, we've had some businesses where they really, really did have a great idea, and they showed us that they're in a marketplace, and there's been some cases where they didn't have competition. There really wasn't any competition. And if that's the case, that's a beautiful thing. But you have to really be able to demonstrate and do the research and show us that what you're doing, no one has done before, and in the way that you're doing it, so you don't expect to have competition. Or in their market research, they show significant projected growth in a particular industry. Rather it was, we're getting ready to go to war, and the government was, projected to spend all these billions of dollars buying, parts for military equipment and weaponry and those types of things, and you were servicing that market somehow. Those are the types of things that you could show that if there is an aggressive projection of growth in a particular marketplace that matched your projections, then you're going to do extremely well in this competition. So I just kind of gave you some numbers here. You can already see, what it's basically doing is taking your revenue minus your expenses, and this is, so basically, but like I said, this is just, you'll have more revenue anyway. I'm just, I just threw those numbers in there, but this is a balance, you'll be able to see by putting in these numbers and for your expenses. You'll kind of see kind of where you need to be in terms of how much income that you'll need to generate if you want so many. You start with some assumptions. You're going to have, you're going to pay, you two guys, of course, but realistically, when you do the budget, you got to account for other staff that you're going to need. And, you start out with assumptions, we're going to have 5 employees in the first year. And, we're going to have a growth. We're going to, you can have an assumption that you're going to add one employee each year for the next 5 years. So just based on the number of employees that you have, you can project what your labor cost is going to be. But, start with that base year, and then you can extrapolate based on what you tell us in terms of the size of the market, and what's your growth rate that you come up with for your out years. So other expenses, like I said, marketing, be careful with marketing. You definitely don't want to have a company that have an exorbitant amount of expenses associated with marketing. Typically, everybody does marketing, you know what I mean? From the CEO to the janitor, everybody is always responsible for marketing the company. So, you're gonna have some time in there for a CEO, a COO at a minimum, and a CFO, an administrative person. Just know that a lot of your time will be used to market the company, as opposed to hiring a bunch of people to do marketing for you. A lot of your top executives will do a lot of your marketing, especially early on in your company. Professional fees is another typical area. You want to keep your company, you want to stay in tune with regulations in the industry and trends in the industry. And so you want to join various professional societies, Society of Military Engineers. If you guys are doing transportation, I'm pretty sure that you'll be providing. I'm pretty sure that the military will be a client of yours. The Air Force, the Army, the military, the Department of Defense spends a lot of money probably on, devices like you guys are developing. Now, let me ask you guys this: are you guys really, truly, are you guys really looking to launch this business, or is this just something that you guys are? It's conceptual.
We
It
would
is.
really like to, but my partner here, Niall, he is joining the armed forces, so he will be gone after we graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So if we did win and get funding, it is definitely something we would like to, at least with this finance chart, we could at least understand how much it would probably be to start up and see if it's possible for us to do. But
Yeah.
it all just depends on how much it would cost and if the market is still viable at that point.
And through the armed forces, I have intentions to get a degree in business and communications, because one way or another, I would like to eventually get into entrepreneurship, whether it is with this particular company that we are planning right now or something in the future that might require a little bit of fine tuning. It is my intention to start in the business world.
Gotcha. So, at any rate, so you guys, I mean, this is pretty simple. I mean, you guys can play with this. This template. We don't need to see a whole lot of information in your in terms of your in the actual business plan. We know you're going to be limited in space, but for your finances, you could probably summarize this sheet in a way where you could take the totals of each category, something like that, and maybe put it in a table to kind of show us what your base year is, or if you'd like to put it in a graph. I'm telling you, visuals are so much easier for our judges to assess, rather, looking at the makeup. A pie chart can show us the breakdown in terms of what percentages are administrative costs, what percentages is related to the actual operations of the business. You could put that in a pie chart, so you can get creative with this, but the main thing, we'd like to see a projection, multi-year projection, minimum of 3 years. So like I said, take advantage of this. This really kind of gives you the components that you need to kind of do your research to find out what does the industry pay for staff in your transportation company, or in this company, and make sure that you're not showing that you're not overpaying, and showing people that you're paying them what the market would pay them. Don't overpay yourself in that. But make a very a super realistic financial model, something that the judges can take you serious, and also too, you'll be able to score high on realism when they do the assessment of the company realism, or project profitability realism, or so. Any questions on this template? Yeah.
When developing the financial setup, it would be smart to include our debt increment for the 3 years mentioned, correct? Because
Absolutely.
yeah,
So what you want to
manufacturing
do?
requires a lot of investment. So
Absolutely. Like, let me tell you, one year in the competition, we had a team that, man, they had an amazing idea, and they kind of blew it during the presentation to the judges, because what they did is, they did the core calculations, they did the projections, but then and they were engineers too. So you as engineers have to be real careful, because what we find that a lot of times the engineering CTE programs tend to be more technology oriented and more technically savvy, but completely blew it when it came to the realism part of the finances. So what they ended up doing is they came up with a multi-year revenue projection, and they showed us their base year, told us why, did a great job telling us why that they expected the growth rate that they had arrived at, and it came up with these beautiful numbers. But then when they did a cash flow analysis, they came back and told the judges that they were going to need $1 million in startup cost. And oh my God, you can imagine. And Damon John was one of the judges from the Shark Tank, and it completely turned them off, because even though there is some tech companies, they do have a sizable amount of startup costs. But you better be willing to be able to speak very, very convincingly on why you would like to this investor, or you can, as opposed to asking an investor for, some of your startup costs, they probably would have been better off factoring into their projections that they were going to go and get a small business loan, and factor that into their operations, into their expenses and the monthly expenses, because they're going to have a note, a monthly note, to pay off that. They would have been better off saying that, as opposed to saying, hey, we want, because there's many ways to fund a startup. One way to fund a startup is to get an investor to give you money to start your bit. Another way is to put together a solid business plan, which shows that you're going to be profitable, and that shows that you're generating monthly income. And if you have a solid business plan, you can go to a bank and get a small business loan to start that. And that way, to me, if you do it that way, you don't have to worry about giving up part of your company, because you're going to finance that loan over time with revenues generated by your own intellectual property, your own company, and then over time you pay the loan back, and you still own all of your company. So there's pros and cons. Sometimes it makes sense if you get an investor that really knows your business, or can offer you some sort of expertise that by them being and it makes sense. I'm telling you, like, if you got an investor that came in that was some sort of aviator, that or mechanic, he's worked on aircrafts and did all kinds of stuff related to your industry, and he's sold products, and he has relationship with various airports and military installations in your area, and he knows how to go and get contracts and that stuff. That person would be an amazing investor, and he would ultimately, you would give up some of your company, but having that additional expertise is going to definitely add to your your ability to grow your company, and also it's going to enhance your likelihood of being able to meet your financial goals and objectives. So you guys have to kind of think through that. But like I said, kind of stay away from getting up there and saying, hey, we need $2 million investment, to start this company, because you're gonna run the judges off. And keep in mind, in this competition, so what's going to happen is you guys are going to submit a written 10-page business plan and a 5-minute presentation, which you'll upload and send us a YouTube link or something of that nature. And so you're going to be scored on your written first, and your written and your your written and your submitted presentation. Those together, you're going to be scored by a board of judges, and they'll come up with the score. Now, on the grand finale, you'll just be presenting orally, and those judges would not have had the benefit of seeing your written. So that's why I say, when you could score 100 points and knock it out of the park on your written, but the judges that you're going to present for, they would not have seen their responsibility is just to judge your oral presentation. So it's important that once you guys get that presentation, that's why I say hurry up and get to a point where you have your PowerPoint together, where you guys can start presenting that, and you just present it over and over and over until you master it, before you record it, number one. But then after you record it, you want to be able to be ready to present that if you guys make the finals. But yeah, so that's come to these workshops, man. We really try to give you all the clues. I mean, a lot of times, people jump in this competition, and they do miss the these meetings, and we don't always make these presentations available right away, and we do that intentionally because we want folks to make sure that they come to these meetings, because when you come to these meetings, a lot of times, we will give you extra tips that's going to move you along, and we'll share. Next week we'll, I'll have some. On Thursday, I'll have some of the winning business, or just some business plans from past competitions, and then I'll share those with you. But anyway, any questions at this point?
Yeah. So for our business plan, we would I've never made one of these before. So the resumes, they don't count towards our page count, right?
Right, and they're just one page, and we don't expect to see a whole lot of work experience from you guys. We know you guys are teenagers and don't have, but if you had side jobs, that's fine. You could put that on there. But the main thing, if you have I understand, it sounds like you guys are already very active. You're in Skills USA. If you're playing sports, any extracurricular activity, any hobbies, things that you enjoy doing, things that you've done well at or excelled at, put it on your resume. And like I said, those resumes, and I'll give you some. We'll go over some sample resumes. A lot of times these competitions come down to the resumes, because we've had a lot of competitors that they come in and they score very neck and neck, with their technical, with their business plan. And the thing that differentiates them or sets them apart from other teams is the quality of personnel, and that's the same thing. And only way we can determine the quality of personnel is through the resumes. And in small businesses, what makes or break a business is the quality of employees, the quality of personnel. So a lot of times, if you got a resume, and then a lot of times the resumes, like I say, it's important to tell us about yourself, and even when you introduce yourself in your presentation and in your recording, each one of you introduce yourself and be confident. Say, hey, I'm, Riley Jensen. I'm the CEO. My role in this company is managing the growth, setting the vision, XYZ. Boom. I love the fish. I love yoga. It's like, I'm gonna tell you why that's important, because when you do that, you never know. What you want to try to do is always, if you've seen Shark Tank, you want to be able to try to connect personally with your judges, and you never know. I've seen it happen over and over again. We've had kids that come in, and one year we had a kid that developed an app for mental health in low income communities, and one of our judges, had quite a bit of experience with mental health issues. So that judge was just blown away, because they knew that there was a need in the community for something like that. And just, because that they came up with an idea, and they didn't know that any of their judges would be able to connect. So if you can't connect with your judges based on what an idea, or if your business, maybe, we had one year, actually it was still the business. She had a company where that she was selling yoga mats, and she came up with this new yoga mat, and I didn't realize that was like a multi-billion-dollar industry. And two of our judges did yoga. So, coming out the gate, when she presented, she was able to connect with the judges. And so that's what I'm saying. It's one thing you gotta learn in life. Personal connection does help. Likability, unfortunately, we're not scoring you on whether or not we like you or not. But if you are able to make a connection with the judges, it's just life, I think. And when you give your final presentation, it could sway in your favor.
Okay. And these resumes would be 1 page per each person?
Yes. So
Okay.
if it's just two of you guys, it would just be one resume, which you guys would just submit
That'd be-
two resumes.
And it'd be on the same business plan, right? It'll just be at the 2 bottom pages.
Yeah, it'd be part of the one word file. Don't send us resumes, separately. Yeah, it'd be all together. Yeah.
And for the link for the YouTube video, would that be in the same file, or are we gonna share that with an email or something?
Yeah, you just paste that in an email or something. The link.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Link. Yeah. Absolutely.
You've been there before. We since we just recently went to Skills, we actually we went to the state competition for California, and we actually placed first for the most innovative product in California.
Engineering, technical design.
Yeah. Would that be, I don't know, would judges be more likely to think this is a more viable idea if we were to say award winning, or I don't know how to phrase it, but
Could we leverage our success at the state skills competition that may help us in a way for when we present our product?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I told you, once again, you definitely want to put that in your resumes. You definitely want to put that in your resumes, and then you also want to build that into your opening as a part of your oral presentation. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You build that, then that way you automatically you connect the judges in a way that they know that you guys are entrepreneurs, that you are that you guys have been successful in competitive environments. As teenagers, I think that would be absolutely something you want to make sure you highlight on your resumes, and something when you do your 5-minute presentation as you guys, I mean, people when they I'll actually share some of the 5-minute videos that there may be. I think there's some even on that website from San Diego from years ago, but you'll be able to see how some students, they open up with a lot of energy and they say, hey, we are team one. And when they said it in unison. They'd be like, welcome. And we are so-and-so, you know what I mean? They said it together. And, this is a lot of different ways to, I think when you have make your opening statements, you just want to do something different, and something that's going to get the judges smiling.
Okay. So with the oral presentation, would it be like more so of a rundown of our business plan, or is it more so like a tailored executive summary just to kind of hit the main points, but we wouldn't be like going down the dock, right?
I would no, let me tell you, that's a great question, because just like I told you, keep in mind, these judges did not see that written submission.
Okay.
So you got to give them enough meat, and your PowerPoints can be unlimited in page number.
Okay.
So that PowerPoint needs to cover everything. I don't know if you were there last week, I went over the key essential components of a business plan. And that PowerPoint needs to cover everything. It may cover it in a more visual, graphic way, but you want to cover everything, because if you don't cover it in your oral, the judges are going to just assume that you didn't cover it.
Okay.
So you want to talk about your market. You want to introduce yourselves and say who you are, your roles in the company. You want to say who your competition are. You definitely want to have a slide to show who your competition are. You want to be able to have your SWOT analysis. A page that gives over your strengths, your opportunities, your weaknesses, opportunities, and your threats. You got a slide on that. Your PowerPoint must cover all of that. Then, and your finances, when you get into your finances, you want to give your projections, the assumptions you made. So don't make the mistake a lot of people do, and that is in their 5-minute presentation, they give more of a 30,000 foot presentation. You definitely want to cover all of the components of let me see if I have that up here. And I'll have to reshare this. Yeah. Okay, you guys see that?
Yes.
So you definitely, even in your PowerPoint, these are the business plan essentials. You want to have a summary, say your mission, so your market analysis, your SWOT, your competition, your marketing strategy, and your financial forecast. So just make sure that presentation, now it can, like I said, it can be a more visual representation of your business plan, but don't leave out any of these components.
Okay. And would you recommend it being more professional in that case? Like, should we be more dressed up and try to see more like a
Absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I know you guys are techies and you're probably not used to putting on a tie or anything like that. And the only way I would say, if you don't wear like a, you know, a jacket or something like that, unless you have like some sort of t-shirt or something that has your company name and logo on it or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, but something, you know, you want to, again, these judges have not seen your written submissions. And you want to connect with them, and you want to try to connect with them in any way possible. Maybe it's how you're dressed, how you present yourself, how you speak, whether or not you have a hobby that's something that's consistent with one of the judges, or you want to try to make that connection. And um and so it's always good, if, first of all, to have a phenomenal presentation and a very well thought out business and a very creative business concept. But on top of that, being able to connect with your judges always helps.
Okay. And I know you probably can't answer this, but do you know how much teams actually entered for the contest this year?
Oh, wow. Well, we've gotten a lot of NDAs,
Okay.
so team submissions. So that don't mean, we have that all the time, but at least 10. I mean, at least 10, and then sometimes they kind of dwindle down as you get toward the end. And you
Okay.
can always tell by, you know, you know, uh, like today, I know it's spring break and all that, but you know, people drop the ball. This is about where they drop the ball. So you guys continue to push, and you're likely to do well.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I don't think I have anything to ask now. I will reach out if I have any more questions.
Okay. If you guys have any questions, just shoot me an email. I offer that to everybody. And if not, I will see you guys on Thursday.
I don't think I have received your email yet. Is it just the normal one that you've been sending emails out with, or
Yeah, you can reply to that. It'll come
that
right
one?
to me.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
All right. All right.
Well, you have a good day, sir.
Okay, guys, enjoy your evening.
You
You
too, sir.
too. Have a good one.